Welcome back to our special coverage of the election's only planned vice presidential debate right here on CBS News. For analysis on tonight, we are joined by Maura Gillespie, Jaime Moore, and Kadia Goba. Maura is a Republican strategist who served as an advisor to former Speaker John Boehner and Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Jaime previously served as director to the Office of Democratic National Committee Chairman Jamie Harrison, and Kadia is a political reporter with Semaphore. Thank you all for being here. So fun to have you in studio. So, Maura, let's start with you because we just learned more about Walz. How do you expect Vance to hit him on some of those potential weaknesses that Esme pointed out?
He's definitely going to hit on, the military service, and I hate to even start with that because I don't think that the American people, generally speaking, like to see two veterans competing about their service. We can all agree that we appreciate their service, just across the board. But I do think you're going to hear J.D. Vance go after him on that because there's going to be questions about, was it a grammar issue? The response that Tim Walz gave during the sit-down interview with him and Kamala Harris, that wasn't enough, and so we are going to hear more about that. I also think you're going to hear more about this Tiananmen Square comment, and so it'll lead up to this character, essentially, attack, saying, is somebody who we can trust? That's how I think that Vance is going to play on. I'll be curious to see if he really doubles down on some of the other comments that he's made. He has an opportunity here to show the Republican Party that he could be a leader for them. But if he's only playing to one audience, and that audience being Donald Trump, then we're not going to probably hear that. So I'm curious to see which way he plays it. I think at least for the GOP, it's going to be interesting to see how he decides to go with this.
So conversely, Jaime, how do you see Walz trying to point out some of Vance's potential weaknesses?
Yeah, we've seen Senator Vance say a lot of things over the last few weeks that have gotten some ire from not only Democrats and independents, but Republicans. And so I think the governor's going to bring those topics back up. Childish cat lady. That's a big deal. That's been a phenomenon that has taken over the internet over the last few months. And then other things that he said about his 15-week abortion ban, things like that, those are going to be things that he's going to have to come and sort of answer for. And so I've been in Minnesota with Vance. I've seen him on the stump. I've seen him out there talking to people. He's very folksy. He's very personable. So I think he'll use some of those tactics to put Vance on the offense.
Kadia, you cover Congress closely. What kind of debate styles do each have?
Well, I think both of them are going to lay out a vision for their, the respective candidates. But when I talk to members on the Hill, they say, Tim Walz has this persona, this folksy persona. Even when I talked to Emmer, he said the same thing, that's the one thing that Vance has to be careful about. But I think it's more relatable to a lot of people, especially to that demographic.
Vance is very adept. Don't count Vance out.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah. I think both of them respectively are talking to a certain demographic in this country. They were certainly brought on to address that demographic. But when I talk to people in the Senate, they talk about Vance being, this just like sly debater, and that he's very good. And they always bring up this point he had against Tim Ryan, where you kind of put him on the offense or the defense, and Tim Ryan kind of stared at the camera without saying anything. So it should be an interesting match.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Agree.
Maura, do you see Vance trying to stake his own claim on some issues? This is, you mentioned, sort of his chance to help lead the Republican Party, or do you see him just sticking to lifting up his number one?
It's interesting because, again, he could sort of carve out his own niche here. He could really tell the Republican Party, yes, Donald Trump is going to win and it's going to be 4 more years, but then beyond that, it's me, because Donald Trump can only serve 4 more years. So he really should take this opportunity to just set a narrative saying that he is a leader and he's ready for this job. But I think given the big switch he's taken, again, he just a matter of years ago was, speaking poorly against Donald Trump, which I think is going to come out in this debate. It's going to be asked about him. He's going to be asked about it.
The DNC is already trolling on projecting on Trump Tower.
Yeah.
And as well, they should ask him about it, right? I think as we, the people, would want to know, okay, so is this real? Should we believe that you've made this a complete 180? And if so, why? What is it about the former president that you are so wholeheartedly for now? So again, I think to my point earlier, it depends on who J.D. Vance is looking to talk to. Is he looking to talk to us, the American people, and us, I'll speak for myself, the Republican Party as a whole, or is he looking solely to talk to one person, and that being the former president?
Jaime, we have lived 1,000 lives since we have had these two at the top of the ticket. Has that benefited Harris and Walz, or is it a hindrance because not as many voters are clued into what they stand for?
No, I think it's been beneficial in some ways. You think about Kamala Harris has been able to introduce herself in a new way to the American people over the last 2 months, which has been fantastic. And even Tim Walz. He's a fantastic governor, great person. I know him personally, but a lot of people don't know him. And so I think this debate is going to give him a chance to say, this is who Tim Walz, this is who Gwen Walz, this is who the Walz family is, and this is how this complements Kamala Harris and her plan to not go back, as they like to say. And so I think it's been largely beneficial for the two of them to have pretty much a blank slate. I do think that there are still some questions that need to be answered on policy and some specifics, and so I think that's going to be a thing that he's going to have to contend with tonight.
Kadia, I think Vance will be talking to millions of Americans, but also perhaps the most important audience member is Trump. Trump, of course, will be watching, doing his own Truth Social posts throughout the debate. He's also holding campaign events today. Is that unusual?
No, I think, each candidate has to be, or each branch of the campaign has to be out there working. He's obviously going to watch the debate tonight. But I would pay money to see Vance say something or put himself in front of the former president as if to suggest that he is the future of anything. That would be very surprising for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it could also lead to potentially, if he does, then we might see another presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I think that what tonight could show us, if Donald Trump gets, I don't want to use the word triggered, but if he feels as though he's maybe being threatened a little bit by his running mate, he may see this as an opportunity. I have to have the last word.
I agree.
Well, we will see. You heard it here first, folks. Haima Moore, Maura Gillespie, and Kadia Goba. So good to have all of you. Thank you so much for the conversation.